Welcome back to Brashonomics. If there is anything you've ever wondered about an inspection on a house, well, there's nobody better to find out from than Jim Estrada, owner and lead inspector of property, Inspector LLC, with over 4,000 inspections performed. Jim, you've seen it all, my friend.
You know, I keep seeing new things every once in a while, but yeah, the market today is definitely zooming, no question about it. It's putting a fever pitch to everything.
Yeah, I watch your Facebook, and you do see some crazy stuff.
Some very interesting things. I think one of the best ones was always the rubber welcome mats that people put on the roof to patch their roof with. That's always a good one.
With nails?
Yeah, oh yeah.
That does not sound like a good idea for those folks at home who are on their roof going, what am I going to patch this with? Jim, once people actually buy a house, there's a lot of different, pieces of the puzzle that can break. And when you go into a house, you're inspecting a lot of these things for when they move in. But then once they're in the house, Jim Estrada is no longer there telling you what's working. You no longer get to ask the seller how to fix certain things or to fix certain things.
Definitely.
There are some skills that you have developed really to survive home ownership.
Well, I've been dealing with a lot of new homeowners too. And so that has definitely brought this topic kind of into fruition for today. We talked about different tools a couple months ago before Christmas and stuff, first-time tool buyers and those kinds of things. And
did I tell you my dad got me a drill?
Hey, have you used it?
No, he says to me, "Do you have a drill?" I said, "No." He goes, "You've owned a house 8 years. You should have a drill." I said, "Dad, I don't need a drill." He goes, "Well, now you have one." And I basically was thinking, well, if I haven't used it in 8 years, I probably won't use it. So no, it's in the packaging.
Well, that's probably true. Some people are going to look at the things that we're talking about and go, you know what? I'm never going to do that. I'm going to call somebody. But one of the things when you talk about home ownership, and nobody ever tells anybody, I never heard this until actually just a few years back, but about 30% of your mortgage payment, that's what it costs you typically to maintain your home. Okay, now sometimes, obviously, some of the big expenses like a roof are going to really jack that up in terms of a percentage. But let's just talk about like a leaky faucet as an example, okay? A leaky faucet you can fix for 3 different price ranges, okay? You can fix it for $5. You can fix it for $100 and replace the faucet yourself, or you can call a plumber and spend $250, $300 and have them come and do it, okay? But if you wanted to do it for the $5, you get a screwdriver. You take the faucet apart. Before you take the faucet apart, put a towel down in the sink, okay, so you don't lose all the parts down in there. And just take it apart piece by piece, lay it out exactly the way you took it apart, and you're going to find a rubber gasket in there or a plastic gasket of some sort that needs to be replaced. Take it down to the hardware store, someplace like McLennan's where you can really get some good help, and pick up the new part, assemble it back, and boom, it's fixed for under $5.
You make it sound so easy.
It really is easy, but I hate doing this stuff anymore. But anyway, you just got to remember, turn the water off. The shower faucets, you got to turn the whole house off, okay, before you blow that apart. I've seen people take those things apart and water shooting everywhere. Some little things like moving a refrigerator. And look at our stereos or our TVs nowadays, our cabinets and stuff. Of course, the TVs are getting a lot easier nowadays. They're getting a lot lighter. But I had this big, huge cabinet with all my TV and stuff in there, and every once in a while I needed to get behind it. Well, how do you move that darn thing by yourself? Well, they make these beautiful little plastic discs. They're called magic sliders. You put underneath each leg, and you can just slide the thing around real easy by yourself. So that's something, a good little tip. Digging a hole. Sounds really, really easy, although it was interesting. I was out by, what do you call those? The little farms that they have in Seattle. I was doing a couple
Pea patch?
Yeah, pea patch. A couple of pea patches. And I'm watching this one girl. She's out there with a shovel, and she's holding the shovel at the very end of the shovel. I mean, you got no leverage to lift or anything. It's like, you might as well just stop. But
did you at least help her?
There was 20 people there, and I was just having a good chuckle, so it wasn't any big deal. She obviously didn't want to do any work, okay? But, one of the biggest problems people have is they don't think things through. When you get ready to dig a hole, are you anywhere near electricity? Are you anywhere near pipes and stuff? You drive that shovel down into the ground, and you can be blowing a gas line, you can be blowing a water line, you can get electrocuted. So think those things over. You can call a number for a free location, and they'll come out and mark all those lines and pipes for you. Locating a stud. That doesn't mean coming down to the show here and checking Ben out. Okay. We're going to...
Oh, Jim.
I couldn't resist. I've been waiting for that one all day
you brought
long.
that one, didn't you?
Okay. So anyway, studs in the walls. If you're getting ready to hang a big picture or something like that, studs are 16 inches apart. So... and how far are we apart now? Well, we're a couple feet, so I guess I don't qualify.
We're getting closer, Jim. Getting closer.
Anyway, just basically start in a corner, okay, and then measure out 16 inches because there's always going to be a stud in a corner. You can also pull off a light switch or an outlet cover to find out which side the stud is on and then measure from there. So 16 inches is the number to remember in terms of that. Dealing with seized locks. Now, I don't know if anybody does this. I'm one of those maintenance type of guys. I don't like to have problems. So I actually go around my cars and my door locks once a year, kind of right before wintertime, and I lubricate my locks. Okay? Mine always work. The keys are never not working. Locks are never not working and stuff.
Like WD-40?
A little WD-40. Okay? Pretty simple, makes them work smooth. They never ice up. If you ever had a car ice up outside, it'll keep that from happening. Checking for bugs, okay? Bugs don't typically make the kind of noises that you're going to hear them. If you're hearing things, it's generally rats, bees, something like that. If you're looking for bugs, you got to get down and dirty and you got to get underneath your house, okay? That might be something that you want to hire a professional for.
Are there certain bugs people should be looking for?
Well, the big ones across the country are subterranean termites. Fortunately, we don't have a lot of subterranean termites here. They're very little. They're much more in the mountain areas. They are coming here. Everything seems to be migrating around the entire world. But our big nemesis here is carpenter ants. And with the weather that we're having today, it's when the sun's coming out. I actually saw my first carpenter ant of the season here just about a week ago. And they've been dormant all winter long. They start to come out in the springtime. They're nesting. In the spring and the fall is when they're flying. So that's when you're going to typically really notice them. Unclogging a sink, okay? I don't know about you guys, but... seems like bathroom sinks kind of start running slow every 6 months or once a year or something like that. And
depends on how long your hair is, I think.
Well, and I don't have to worry about that, But if you happen to be married, we've talked about that I think before. But anyway, my wife has beautiful long hair, so I don't mind taking care of the sink. But anyway, easiest thing to do is pull out the drain stopper from the back. You can take that out, and generally you can pull a clog out real easy with just like a coat hanger. Sometimes you need to take the P-trap apart, so you're going to need a big bucket to put underneath there when you take that apart. And anyway, just all of these kinds of tips that we're talking about, I put them in different articles on my Facebook. I have a great website with a lot of this information and different connections and stuff. And when I do inspections for people, too, I always tell them, hey, if you got a real question you need an answer for or something, I don't care if it's 3 years, 5 years down the road or something, give me a holler. I'm happy to give you a little advice. I do have a good list of subcontractors and stuff on my website, too, that can help you with these different things.
Do you tend to, and we do have to go to break, but, I mean, you've inspected 4,000 houses. Are you able to go back and help somebody after the fact? I mean, do you have that good of a memory?
I have people calling me about a house from yesterday, and I'm going, huh? Because I try to kind of flush the house out of my brain so I don't confuse it with the next house and the different things that are going on. Mm-hmm. But actually, I do have a really good memory, and as long as...
And you have the reports.
when I have the reports. That's the biggie. As soon as I can go back to the reports, and like I tell people, I say, if you have a quick question, call me any time of day, basic general question, but you have some specifics or need to talk a little bit, call me in the evening where I can pull up the report, gets my mind kind of churning and remembering and stuff, and then can generally help them often.
Unless, of course, there was a welcome mat plugging up the roof or fixing the leak on the roof, in which case, well, you obviously remembered that
Never
one.
forget.
Never forget that one. Jim, thanks so much for joining us again. That's Jim Estrada, owner and lead inspector with Property Inspector, LLC. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation on real estate with Mr. Eric Robeson, who's back with us. Excited to chat with him a little bit about, well, how do you price a house? How do you understand what your house might be worth in a market like this? I'll give you a clue. It's probably not online. We'll be right back.